It's 9 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. If you're able, will you join us for a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. The first item on our agenda today is the open forum. Is there anyone signed up for open forum this morning?
Do we want to approve the agenda first?
Yes. Sorry. At this point, we entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting proposed agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. Go ahead. I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Now we move on to open forum. Thank you, Keisha.
There is nobody signed up, Chair.
Move right past open forum. The next item up is the consent agenda. I'm not aware of any changes or additions to the consent agenda. At this point, we could entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Danilowski makes a motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Philby seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we're on to announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Just a couple quick announcements here. Not necessarily in specific order, but just highlights for the board. The AMC Leadership Summit, not applications, but registration opened yesterday. So if you're interested in attending, it's March 27th up in Nisswa. If you're looking for hotels, they close the end of this month. So just let Keisha or me know if you are interested in attending the AMC Leadership Summit. In addition, just a note more for the public, but several county board commissioners will be heading out to Washington, D.C. to attend the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference Friday through Wednesday, so the 9th through the 14th. I am in the process of setting up a meeting with our federal lobbyist team so that you can discuss how to appropriately thank our federal team for the great announcement of a $24.7 million infra grant, which should get us very close, if not over, for fully funding the overpass in Zimmerman. So look for information to meet with Greg and Emily at this point. Somewhat related, Congressman Emmer is holding mobile office hours. His staff is this week. Just a note for the community, if they're interested in trying to catch Congressman Emmer's staff in the mobile offices, they'll be in St. Cloud and Blaine today, Rockford tomorrow, and Northwood Young America on Thursday, and the specific times and locations are on the Congressman's website. Also, we passed out information about open house for one of the major transmission line projects coming up. For board information, and I think we put it also out on Facebook as well as the website. Also a note, there is upcoming an AMC cybersecurity one-day conference for elected officials and decision makers. It's going to be held in St. Cloud on the 25th of April. I'm going to pass this around if you're interested, if you would just put your name at the bottom and we will get you registered. Looks like it'll be a very interesting conference. And then a note also that the AMC Legislative Forum is coming up on February 21st and 22nd down in St. Paul, and we'll get you more information about that. And again, Keisha's looking for confirmation which board members will be attending. And then last but not least, for our intrepid few who are going to be around this weekend, which I think is Greg and Gary, we still are looking for participants, if not supporters, for the plunge, the polar plunge. So that's going to be Saturday out at Big Lake at 12 noon. Commissioner Danilowski unfortunately cannot participate, so we are looking for a volunteer or a voluntold to at least support the team. And then also donations are out. And I do have an anonymous pledge, a match pledge with commissioners. So if commissioners would like to donate to the Sherburne County team, it'll be matched up to $25 per commissioner. And that's from an anonymous supporter of the Polar Plunge. That's all I have for announcements.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on, then will be our regular agenda. The first item is a consider approval of preliminary plat and final standard plat for Meadow Estates South. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. First one is for Dan Burning. This is Ziegler Custom Homes. They're requesting preliminary and final residential plat approval of Meadow Estates South. This is 10 lots in Big Lake Township in the General Rural District. Planning Commission recommended approval of the 10 lots with 10 conditions.
Yes. At this point, we could entertain a motion in regards to the plat.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Danilowski motions, Commissioner Phobie seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion passes. The next would be considering approval of preliminary and final simple plat for Whitetail Run, second edition, Timothy Schultz.
And this is 3 lots. This is in Livonia Township on 9 acres in the General Rural District. Planning Commission recommended approval of the 3 lots with 1 condition.
At this point, we're going to entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Commissioner Phobie moves.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Gray seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes.
Thank you.
And next to be approved, consider approval of resolution to establish Resolution 0260-624-AD3128 to establish the absentee ballot board in the UOCAVA ballot board for the 2024 election year. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Commissioners and Chairman, and that is UOCAVA.
UOCAVA.
That's okay. It's all the acronyms that we get using. Yes, before you is the consideration to establish, which we do yearly on election years, is to establish a absentee ballot board. And our ballot board then performs all the absentee processing of all the absentee ballots. And they go through the training and stuff for that piece of it. We want to make sure that we are all properly staffed, and with this resolution, this will enable us to get started with that process, and we'll be starting that at this afternoon at 1:30, actually.
Outstanding. So at this point, what's the wishes of the board? We could entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray,
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
seconded by Commissioner Danilowski. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner correspondence, who would like to start this morning? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So January 16th, I attended by Zoom the NACO Central Regional Meeting. January 17th, I had a sub-coalition meeting and also a Minnesota Open Meeting Law and Remote Participation webinar. That was very interesting. Lots of good information on that for the remote participation part. Also attended the Township SCAT meeting up in Becker that evening. January 18th, had a Family Resource Center meeting, and that's moving along. They're starting to narrow down where some of the sites are potentially going to be for Family Resource Centers between Elk River and Big Lake. They're also working with a potential site up in St. Cloud. Also had a Tri-County Solid Waste meeting and attended, that was, I think we had election of officers, so we've got Benton County Commissioner Scott Johnson is the chair, and also have myself as vice chair, and who was the treasurer, Greg, do you remember?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I don't have it written down either.
All right, so also had the annual joint workshop meeting that evening with the city of Big Lake Township, Big Lake School District, and Orac Township, along with the county. That is done yearly. January 19th, had the Big Lake Sup Coalition meeting, substance use prevention for our youth. January 22nd, attended my options board meeting. And January 24th, was able to get by for the election judge training, and have been told a lot of great participation, a lot of good information, and that was also recorded, so you can go on and watch the recording of the information that Ken gave during that training. And also, January 24th, attended the Big Lake Township meeting. January 25th, attended the county EDA meeting. We had our election of officers, our yearly organizational. Ken Drew was elected chair, vice chair is Andy Voller, secretary is Laura Kangas, and treasurer is Todd, assistant treasurer Jared Johnson, executive director was named Jessica Bartle. Our newspaper is Star News, the depository is the Bank of Elk River, and Minnesota Housing Partnership presented, and also there's gonna be a February 20th housing workshop coming, so please get a hold of Jessica if you're interested in attending that housing workshop. I think it's gonna be a good information on going forward as to what we can do to help promote housing growth in our county. And then attended the Central Minnesota Area Transportation Meeting. That's the ATP3 meeting in St. Cloud. February 5th, attended the NACO CEWD meeting. That is a committee that I was appointed to through NACO in workforce development and economic development. And that was a conference call going over the three things that they're gonna be proposing out at the national conference in Washington. And I got a week in Florida.
Sandy. Commissioner Holtz?
Sure. So this week, or the last couple of weeks, I've met with Mayor Dietz a couple of times just to discuss some of the projects, upcoming projects in the Elk River area. Met with Representative Novotny again. Once again, working on the legislation that he's working on for property tax reform. Had the same EDA meeting on the 25th. With the group there, and what we're focusing on next is what version of the housing study that we're going to move forward with, whether we're going to do a complete, whether just going to update on the old one or whether we're going to do a complete one. I'm leaning toward doing a complete one in order to get the demographics right and what we're seeing in changes since the last time the housing study was done. Also met with Administrator Messel and HHS on some potential automation projects, and met with the Rum River Watershed Board. So that was that one's coming along nicely. On the let's see here. We also had I also had a constituents coffee with Mayor Dietz on last Saturday. Lots of good questions and discussions with the folks there on both on what's happening at the city level as well as the county level, and I think those are my major highlights.
Commissioner Gray or Commissioner, do you want to go?
Thank you. First, I just want to do a bigger little shout out to our 169 for appropriation. I was able to speak with Senator Klobuchar. She's thrilled with the appropriation for this project. If people don't realize it, it was the only other funded project in Minnesota besides the $1 billion bridge between Duluth and Superior. So she was very pleased. She said this one possibly won't get as much media attention, but it is as important for our region and our state. So thanks to Senator Klobuchar, Senator Smith, and Congressman Emmer on that. Met with the Princeton Civic Betterment Club, talked county business. The TriCap search for the executive director, we're moving to the interviewing phase, so very excited about that. The Sherburne County area townships, met with them, with most of you. The statewide Community Health Advisory Council had a coffee and conversation on housing sustainability with some housing directors. I participated in my AMC Executive Committee orientation and had an executive committee and then as well as a board meeting. Great River Regional Library, the Development Committee met. That's our fundraising entity. Participated in the NACO Healthy Counties Advisory Committee, getting ready for Washington, D.C. Continue to meet with constituents on the 169-4 and the County Road 4 situation. It's going to be really busy in the next couple of years up in Zimmerman, so just trying to do what we can to support our business community up there as we recognize that there are challenges during transportation construction projects. But I continue to meet with businesses and homeowners to do whatever we can to mitigate those challenges. Central Minnesota Council on Aging Joint Powers Board met. They are working on a new, they're looking into the whole socially isolated and loneliness factor with our elderly, and so they're going to be coming up with some tools for communities for that. The MICA annual meeting, the three of us went down to Winona for a long road trip, and their focuses were for this annual meeting, which everyone's invited to, staff and commissioners in the future. The 48-hour rule, the priority admission statute, and the challenges of that, the workforce, the work group that's been working on that does have 4 county people on, a sheriff, Terrell Clark, corrections people, and they've worked hard to try to get this workable for counties. We're not sure that that's going to happen. So just talking about capacity, both with beds and staffing with people with mental illness. Heard from the Winona Mental Health Collaborative and some of the things that they're doing. Heard from Secretary of State Steve Simon on the upcoming election. And that is it.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Gray?
Mr. Chair, quick question.
Sorry.
Since you brought it up, when are we breaking ground on the 169 project?
So the 169-4 project, and Andrew can have a more specific update. It looks like we will be doing prep 2024, along with the County Road 4 stuff that's going through town, and then construct 2025. Okay?
I met with Jenny Axelson of the Fair Board just to get an idea of where the fair was at. That was just an interesting conversation. Had the Two Inlets Park meeting, the SCAP meeting that we were all at, the SHAC meeting that Lisa referenced by phone. I attended the Tri-County Solid Waste meeting as the alternate there. I just wanted to be informed about that. I met with the GSDC Executive Director, Natea Baumann, in regards to her situation and getting to know her. The Health and Wellness Kickoff here at the county on the 22nd. Also on the 22nd, I did the NACO Agriculture and Rural Affairs meeting, putting together our legislative priorities for the NACO meeting here in Washington. Attended election training as a guest, just went in and learned and saw what they went through as training. The 25th, I did the DIB, which is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee meeting. On the 26th, I extension meeting for the Tyler Rice replacement. He's the crop specialist for the Extension Service. I'm on the committee for finding his replacement with the University of Minnesota. Also on the 26th, I did the MICA groundwater discussion, putting together a legislative priority and what we got to do for that. On the 29th, I attended the St. Cloud City Council meeting just as an introduction of myself to meet the council members that I haven't already. On the 31st, I was with the legislative update with Eric Lassaro from the state, and the MICA legislative update in Winona that the three of us attended. I think more of an emphasis was put on food than the meeting itself, at least on the way down. Kurt Dowd, we met yesterday with him for a legislative update, and he's retiring from legislative authority on February 11th, I believe. So that was me. That was a highlight.
All right, thank you. By the time it gets to me, pretty much everything has been covered, but let's see. I went to the Becker City Council meeting, a trail that we're building there, and County Attorney Haney was there discussing their contract for prosecution. Excuse me. I also went to the MCIT webinar on open meeting law. That was very interesting. I was at the Two Inlets meeting, which I've already covered. I was at the SCAT meeting, which has been covered. The Tri-County meeting, the main thing I got out of that was that they're using anaerobic digesters to create CO2, which I think has potential for energy in the future. I'm pretty interested in that. Excuse me. The Rural Action Committee for NACO, there is a rural.gov, a new website that the USDA has launched to serve as a one-stop shop for rural development, which I think is interesting. I went to the joint meeting at Big Lake, lots of good information there. Went to the, let's see, I already did that one. Becker Town Board audit, participated in the audit interview. I went to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging meeting, which has already been covered. And then went to the Executive Steering Committee, the MICA Legislative Forum, and then the MICA Legislative Forum, like it's already been covered. So basically, pretty much everything I went to has already been covered for you effectively. So that's about it. Oh, I also went to a meeting on potentially, it's a research project that's being done on Big Lake Fire. So that was very interesting to participate in that. So at this point, we are done with that, and then we would be recessing our regular meeting until we have our closed session.
Actually, Mr. Chair, if you'd like, we can do a workshop now. We can move it up. It's an in-house workshop.
If everyone is here, and that's amenable to everyone, we could move on to one of the workshops.
So what we thought we would do is start with workshop 10.1, which is a demonstration on the county website refresh.
That'd be fantastic.